electricity. Can't get enough. Feel the wind blowing full speed. Come on and follow me. I'm doing what I want when I want to. I'm doing what I want. Live free. Go and take it to the top. Live free. Oh, the party never stops. We do it better. Light as a feather. Telling you the only way to be. Live free.
The following program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Ok, el único show que tiene las bolas para llamarlo de la forma como debería ser. Oh, okay. No, sorry. Wrong show today. Anyway, today's Thursday, December the 15th of 2022, day 349th of the year, and only 16 days left to go. Anyways, how are you? I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that place that we do stuff at.
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
Yes, USA, Canada, and UK. That's the way that we kind of go about with that station and do the things, because that's what we do. We do that. Sometimes I get confused on what I should talk about at the very beginning of this thing, because listen, if you're taking a listen to us or taking a view of us, there's options among options on how you can do that. But we do tend to be a radio station first, so the Safety FM app will get you moving and grooving in regards of hanging out and taking a listen to some of the best stuff related into the world of safety because of all the different hosts that are on here, not because of me. And then if you want to come out to the other side of the equation, which is the Radio Big app, which is available. Also, we're on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and kind of all kinds of other crap that we're actually listed on as well, which is kind of the interesting part. So, you have options. We can go with you pretty much everywhere and anywhere. All you have to do is say the lovely words, Radio Big, and that will get you moving and grooving. So that's the way that it kind of works out. So how are you? How are things going for you in the overnight? Because it's been some time. I will tell you, good times yesterday. Got to hang out and do some things that I needed to do and wanted to do, so that was always fun. I sometimes take a look at some of the things that I get to do in my lifetime and impressed, amazed, and go, wow, how the hell did that happen? And yeah, yesterday was one of those days. So let's talk real quick because, as you know, our show is a little bit about everything. We talk about safety in the news and safety. So we always want to kind of keep you current on what is going on. Now, keep in mind that we are a show that talks about news. We talk about safety. And this is the hour one of the Jay Allen of the Morning Show. So don't get kind of confused on that. We titled this section the Rated R Safety Show. So envision it in that format. The other side of the equation that I want to talk about as we are hanging and banging this morning is, listen, as we do the stuff that we do, you get to interact with the show if you want to do that. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. And then we kind of go from there. And then I guess I should start talking about this now. Yesterday was episode 680th of this thing. So that means today's 681. And, we are on the verge of getting into number 700. Yeah, episode 700. Yeah, I can't believe it either. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there of this show. And I'm talking about new episodes. I'm not talking about how many times we've aired on the station. I'm talking about new episodes. And I'm talking ever since we went from radio station to podcast to video stream to simulcast. So interesting stuff as we get to do that. So there you go. Anyway, so let's start talking right away about some of the things that were actually hitting the interwebs yesterday about what was trending in this multiverse.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so the trends of the ends were going around yesterday. RIP Twitch landed in Twitter Top 10's trends on Wednesday as users reacted to the shocking news of his passing. You know, a lot of people were confused at the very beginning. They were talking about Twitch as the platform. So just want to make reference to that real quick. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, Sandy Hook was trending yesterday on the 10th anniversary of the horrific elementary school shooting. Former President Barack Obama tweeted on the anniversary, calling this the single darkest day of his presidency. Also, Super Nintendo World was trending after Universal Studios Hollywood announced a new attraction will open in February. And wrestler Mandy Rose was trending after being let go by the WWE over a controversial post that she was sharing on her fan time page. We can talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. And that one was kind of a surprising one going on yesterday. And it's kind of been an interesting week for Miss Mandy Rose, if I may say so myself, in regards of some leakage that was going on with some posts, but that was just because people were taking from her fan time site and moving it, you know. And let's make sure that we're clear. It's fan time, not FaceTime, and not to be confused either with OnlyFans, you know, that platform that was going to stop doing adult-oriented content, and then they realized that their business model was going to completely flop. Yeah, that place. So there you go. So a lot of stuff. So safety in the news and safety. Remember that, because that's what we got going on today. And we'll get that moving and grooving going your way. We'll kind of sit back, hang out for the next 3 hours if you want to do that. That's your option, of course. Or you can stay locked here onto our Uno that we call the Rated R Safety Show. So let's talk to our friends and see what the hell is going on inside of the world of the news. I believe Mark Mayfield is already sitting there waiting for us.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. The U.S. Senate has voted unanimously to ban the use of TikTok on government phones and devices. The No TikTok on Government Devices Act was passed Wednesday night with no objections. Several states have already banned the use of TikTok on government devices and computer networks over national security concerns. FBI Director Christopher Wray recently said the Bureau was concerned that China had the ability to manipulate content on the app and collect data on its users. The bill still needs to be passed by the House and signed by President Biden before becoming law. The Biden administration is working to strengthen relationships across Africa.
Partnerships not to create political obligation, not to foster dependence, but to spur shared success and opportunity.
President Biden announced a wide range of investments and initiatives that the U.S. is facilitating to fuel economic growth and job creation, both domestically and across the African continent. Initiatives include developing reliable infrastructure to support supply chains and to better integrate African countries into global markets. A Louisiana twister has killed at least 3 people. Wednesday's tornado was part of a severe weather outbreak across the Deep South and the second one to hit New Orleans this year. In a news conference Wednesday night, Sheriff James Pullman said the tornado left a trail of destruction through St. Bernard's Parish. Pope Francis is suggesting that folks help Ukrainians in need and instead celebrate a more humble Christmas. Brian Shook has more.
At his weekly general audience, the Pope talked about Ukrainian civilians suffering without power, water, and heat during the holiday season. He said while celebrating Christmas is important, offering concrete signs of help for those in need should take priority over gifts this year. I'm Brian Shook.
And the FDA says there is a nationwide shortage of amoxicillin. It's been in high demand due to the triple-demic of respiratory viruses hitting the U.S. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From FSN in London, I'm Nina. Ukraine, energy and the economy, security and defense and transatlantic relations. And China's economy is facing a continued uphill struggle as a surge in COVID cases is undermining hopes of a rebound.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a
face for radio.
Rated R Safety Show.
Of the past and present are honoring House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. A portrait of Pelosi was unveiled in the U.S. Capitol during a Wednesday ceremony as the Speaker is stepping down from her leadership role when the new Congress convenes next month.
And, Madam Speaker, I have to say how much we admire her.
That's former Republican House Speaker John Boehner, who said no other speaker in the modern era has wielded the gavel with such authority or such consistent results. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called Pelosi a masterful legislator and an even more wonderful human being. Her portrait will now hang in the Speaker's lobby just outside the House chamber alongside speakers of the past. The man accused of attacking Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer was reportedly planning to go after actor Tom Hanks next. A San Francisco police lieutenant testified Wednesday at a pretrial preliminary hearing for David DePape, who's been charged with last October's brutal attack on 82-year-old Paul Pelosi. Lieutenant Carla Hurley said she interviewed the suspect shortly after the incident and claimed he revealed a list of targets, including Hanks, Hunter Biden, and California Governor Gavin Newsom. Elon Musk is banning a Twitter account that tracked his private jet after claiming he wouldn't. Lisa Taylor explains.
Today, Twitter banned @ElonJet, a bot account that used public data to track Musk's jet. The Twitter CEO tweeted on November 6th that his commitment to free speech extends even to not banning the account following my plane, even though that is a direct personal safety risk. The account had more than 526,000 followers at the time of its termination. The man behind the account is Florida college student Jack Sweeney. He's since launched a new jet tracking account on Mastodon, an alternative social media platform that's popular among people leaving Twitter. I'm Lisa Taylor.
And the classic 80s film When Harry Met Sally has been... The Library of Congress on Wednesday announced 25 films are being preserved this year for their cultural, historic, or aesthetic importance. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello. Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things as mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, 16 minutes past the top of the hour as toilets are flushing. People are having all kinds of fun is what it sounds like. So there you go. So let's see. Lots of stuff still to go as we are hanging out and doing our thing this morning. Yes, this lovely morning. You know, I take a look around, and sometimes I say this line right here where I go, it is dark 30. And people go, but it's not that dark. Well, I guess it really varies on where you're at because, listen, I'm doing this thing early morning. You're hearing it here on the East Coast at 7 o'clock. If you're in Central, you're at 6. And if you're in the West Coast, unless you're on some kind of tape delay, it's 4 a.m. So, yeah, it is early to me, depending on how you want to take a look at it. Yeah, and I was up hours earlier before we started doing this thing because, you know, somebody has to get the shit ready to get everything moving. So let's talk real quick about the shit list. So a story that involves both Twitter and the online trading, but neither Elon Musk or Sam Bankman-Fried. And the Securities Exchange Commission has filed charges against 8 social media influencers in the pump and dump scheme that netted the accused more than $100 million in profit. The cable influencer would tout stocks and investments for their followers who would rush to buy, sending the value of the investment up, but just so the influencers could sell at enormous profits and leave the followers with the bill. The accused flaunted that the gains of their scheme online, including luxury sports cars, evidence of indictment includes transcripts of their online chats, which the perps thought that were private but were actually public, and someone recorded it. In the chats, the schemers fully admitted that they the illegalities of their con, but didn't seem concerned about getting caught. So speaking about some weird things, Caroline Ellison has lawyered up. She's the ex-girlfriend of SBF, who ran the Alameda Research, the hedge fund at the centers of AFTX implosion. Probably a good idea to lawyer up in regards to what's going on. Also worth noting, while no indictment has come yet for her, SBF was already throwing other people under the bus before his arrest. He's well connected and will wheel and deal to save his own skin. So what do you think here? I mean, this is an interesting one because, listen, we can talk about this and go invest. But do you invest in stuff that you don't understand? And I know some people go, well, no. And some people say yes. Well, you know, you have to invest in stuff that you understand because if you don't truly understand it, this is what ends up happening. And I know some people are not going to love that, but it's kind of the reality of what's going on. Seriously.
Oops. What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, so the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services officially are planning to designate white bark pine trees as a threatened species with potential for extinction, according to AP reports. The trees are the favorite food of some of the grizzly bears, but a combination of disease, wildfires, and beetles have seen a loss of 1/4 of the trees in the last 20 years. Almost all of the remaining trees are federally owned land. Researchers are optimistic that they can help the tree recover in numbers. So if they designate the white bark as a threatened species, are the bears going to get in trouble if they try to eat it? I mean, think about that for a moment because it is a legit question. you have to look at it from the standpoint, well, I guess to an extent it's possible, but I mean, just look at it from that point. Anyways, a Louisville woman got a lottery ticket as part of her office white elephant gift exchange last week. She ended up winning a $175,000 jackpot off the scratch-off game and claimed the prize just hours later is worth $124,250 after taxes. She tells local media that her first orders of business are paying off her daughter's student loans and car loans. Well, that's good. At least she didn't go into that method of that most people say, I'm going to quit my job. Well, I don't think $125,000 is going to get you super far. I mean, it'll get you far, but not super far. So, I mean, you have to look at those things. So maybe you're taking the right approach as what's going on. Anyways, dictionary.com has named the word of the year. And are you ready for what it is? You might like this one. It's woman. Yes, it's woman. W-O-M-A-N. Yeah, this year, the very matter of the definition of the word woman was at the center of some consequential moments, discussion, and decisions in our society. The site director of the editorial said in a statement. So there you go. So for what it's worth, this is what it says. Here's the site's definition: an adult female person. That's the answer. So the definition of the word woman is, or according to the site, an adult female person. So there you go. There you go. That's the definition. Anyways, let's talk about this. The tale of two Grinches. Take a listen real quick. In Phoenix, a driver was cited for a state trooper last week after trying to pass off an inflated Grinch doll as a passenger to use the carpool lane. In a tweet about the incident, the Arizona Department of Public Safety quipped the passenger looked suspicious if you get it. And then in Florida, a 37-year-old veteran of the police force is spending some time this week dressed up as the Grinch costume and handing out onions to drivers who are going up to 5 miles over the 5 miles an hour over the speed limit in school zones. Over that speed, you still get a regular ticket. The officer has been running the gag for more than 20 years, he says. So here's my question. If you get a ticket, do you also get the onion? Because then I wonder if somebody's going to take you to court and say on how you were so distracted because somebody was handing out onions. You just kind of know how some of this is going to go. You have to look at it that way. Anyways, take a listen to this. Even ever wondered what little dust tornado or dust devil sounds like in Mars? Well, we were able to play the sound yesterday, but last year NASA's Perseverance rover got a hit by a swirl phenomenon of the red planet. The microphones captured a brief encounter which lasted just seconds. Scientists say that quieter than one on Earth due to Mars' thinner atmosphere is making the sound quieter and that the winds are less intense. For what is worth noting, while the sound itself might not blow anyone's hair back, it's mind-blowing that these sounds come from another planet. That's something to think about. I mean, think about that. You are listening to stuff from another planet right now. Yeah, that's something that happened. I did play it yesterday, but some people said that it wasn't super loud in regards to that, so we won't play it again today. But you know what we will talk about? You know what we will do? We'll bring some John Smalls inside of here. You know what he'll tell you about? The market beat. So maybe it's time to do that.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Thursday, December 15th, 2022. Equity started Wednesday on a solid footing, rising more than 1% ahead of the FOMC meeting. The weaker-than-expected CPI gave the market some hope the Fed would give some relief, and those hopes were dashed. While the Fed hiked rates by only 50 basis points, the new statement indicated the peak of interest rates will likely be over 5% and remain at that level into 2023. This news caused the market to reverse course, and the S&P 500 shed 0.6% at the close of the session. The next hurdle for the market is the PCE price index, which comes out next Friday. If the index confirms a downtrend in the pace of inflation, it could send the market soaring and usher in the Santa Claus rally. If not, the market could be in for a rough holiday as traders and investors begin to position for what could be a very bad year for stocks. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at MarketBeatMinute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information. Take a listen real quick. Stocks tumbled on the news of further federal interest rate hikes. The Dow lost about 142 points to close at 33,966. The S&P lost about 24 points to close at 3,995. The NASDAQ lost about 85 points to close at 11,170. West Texas Texas Intermediate ticked up at about $77 a barrel on Wednesday. Brent crude was at 82. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.21. Bitcoin ended up mostly flat on Wednesday afternoon after the spike, trading up to around $17,800. So there you go. You got that over there. There was also 3,285 flights within, into, and out of the United States that were delayed also on Wednesday, and there was about 148 such cancellations. That's 148 there, just so you can know what exactly is going on. So interesting stuff going on here. Anyways, take a listen to this real quick. This was going on in the charts yesterday, and yes, I know that it might be kind of weird in talking about this, but let's do it. Social media was full of tributes to Stephen Twitch Boss on Wednesday after the news of his sudden and tragic passing. Fans, followers, and celebrities expressed their shock and sadness over his death, while also some found memories of him. It seemed that no one had one bad word to say about him. There is a video of him dancing along his wife, Allison Holker, in the new home that they had just recently moved into with their 3 kids. It was posted on Sunday. So there you go. Rest in peace. In regards to that, it's just kind of, it's such one of those things that when you start talking about it, you never know where anybody's at when it comes to life. In regards of, hey, you can look and you can appear happy on the inside, but it does not necessarily mean that that is the case. And, you know, there is some wording that can be used where someone would normally say that he committed suicide. But I think that as we move forward, we will talk more about this as death by suicide. And it's just kind of a weird anomaly as we talk about this, because we talk about this so very often. And we talk about this on how things occur. Listen, this gentleman was 40. And many probably remember him as a longtime DJ on the Ellen DeGeneres show. He was found at a hotel in Los Angeles on Tuesday where paramedics say that he died of apparently self-inflicted gunshot wound. In addition to DJing at the Ellen show, Twitch was also a runner-up on So You Can Dance and appeared on Magic Mike XXL. I mean, it's just a weird one. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know most of the times on what to talk about when it comes to this, because it is that important of information to talk about. So maybe let's do this. Let's do this right now, because this is going to be the better way to go about this.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Maybe if I can get my buttons right, we can move forward. Here's what I want to talk about today. And I know some people are going to sit back and go, well, you're kind of limited on the stuff about safety to talk about. But if you really think about this, this is probably a bigger safety standpoint than anything else that we can talk about. For sure. So here's the gig. There are a lot of things that happen inside of this world of ours, and there are a lot of things that we can go into in regards of what happens with life and what happens when we start taking a look around. And listen, things are not always as they appear. And this is where I get sometimes extremely frustrated with social media. And I get extremely frustrated with things that happen inside of this world, because it's amazing to me that we have this belief that the things that people post online are reality. It's not reality. It is a versionality on what the appearance is. And that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today mostly interacts with how some of us interact with the world, and how suicide and depression are such a huge thing to the things that are going on. Now, listen, I love my friends at lifeline.org, but I've come to the realization as I get to interact with more and more of, the people that reach out here, that it's limited to the U.S. And, I don't get me wrong, I am aware that a good chunk of our listeners listen to us here in the U.S. I get that. But I want to tell you that sometimes there is a need, sometimes there is a thing out there where we take a look around and go, hey, people need people, and I know people don't want to hear that sometimes, but we look at it and go, things happen, and we need to interact opposed to not interacting at all. And I look at this and I go, if we could talk more and be honest and talk about when we are not happy with the world and talk about when things are not great, maybe that would change the perspective about this whole thing about suicide and depression. And it's kind of interesting because, you know, I talk about To Write Love on Her Arms quite often on this show. And I talk about it. If you hang out with me, you will see me with some versionality of some of their gear. And I'm talking anywhere from bracelets to shirts to, you know, everything that's going on. And recently I found a shirt on their site. And it was a pretty interesting quote on the shirt. And I thought that we could share this today. And it says, you'll need coffee shops and sunsets and road trips, airplanes and passports, and new songs and old songs. But people more than anything else. You will need other people. And you will need to be that other person to someone else. A living, breathing, screaming invitation to believe better in better things. And I look at it and I go, how true is that? And listen, I know that sometimes I sit here and I tell you about how I stay in isolation, away from the world, and do the things that I do and go from here and go home and all that other stuff. And yes, I guess, you know, there is some truth to what I say because I am locked up in a room. But I also have a family that I get to interact with on a daily basis. And they're kind of the cornerstone of everything that goes on. So, yes, there are people in my life, and I have friends that I can call. I have friends among friends that I can pick up the phone, and I know that they will answer at any point or contact me almost immediately if something does go wrong. And we need more of that. And I guess if you are in that place of life where you kind of go, well, that's not where I'm at, I want you to still be aware that you're not alone, because that's the important part. So we're going to give some numbers out here today as we are talking. So if you are in the U.S. or Canada, you can text TWLOHA, so it stands for To Write Love on Her Arms, or you can text really much anything, to 741-741. That will have an interaction right away. You can also text the word shout if you are in the UK to 85258. 85258. If you're in Ireland, you can text the word home to 50808. That's 50808. If you're not sure what to do and you're really kind of questioning some things, text the word talk or call 988. That's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. They can help you there right away. And if you're having some questions about trans life and things along those lines, 877-565-8860. That's 877-565-8860. The other one is the Trevor Project. You can get in contact with them at 866-488-7386. That's 866-488-7386. Listen, I have all kinds of numbers and helplines that are available. There's also the Veterans Crisis Line. It's 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. They also have the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline that's available. There's a Spanish one at 888-628-9454. The National Child Abuse Hotline, 1-800-422-4453. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network, 1-800-656-4673. And as I talk about this today, I want you to be aware that there is more than one solution. There is more than one form of assistance that's out there. Because sometimes we feel that we're limited. We sometimes feel that there's not people out there. I just gave you a whole slew of numbers of things that you can use. And I want you to be aware of that because I think it's so important to talk about this. I think it's so important for us to have this discussion about there are other means. If you are on that edge right now and you're not sure where to turn and you are contemplating death by suicide, if you are contemplating that I have been abused, I have been actually in something that I am not sure how to get out of, these are the numbers that I'm providing to you. To find out more about them, you can go to Right Love on Her Arms, TWLOHA.com, and go under the section that says Find Help. They have a whole list of 24-hour a day helplines that are readily available for you. Listen, I know I talk about this, and I know that people go, you talk about this almost daily on the show, and I will continue to move forward talking about this because it's that important. Here's the thing that we tend to forget. When it comes to suicide and depression and being abused, this is something that you will have to interact with in one way, shape, or form for the rest of your life. I am not saying that you are a victim. I am saying that this is something that you will interact with for the rest of your life, regardless on how you look at it. Because it is a daily struggle. There will be times where you will wake up in the morning and you don't want to do anything. There will be times where you just want to sit there standing in the rain, maybe even laying in the rain, just to see what the hell's going on inside of the world. And we can understand these things. So, think about this. To Right Love on Her Arms, find help. To WriteLoveOnHerArms.com or TWLOHA.com. Find help. Think about that. Reach out to some of your friends today if you haven't spoken to them in some time. See how they're doing. You never know on how important that call can be by just reaching out to someone just to say hello. And listen, if you don't know where else to turn and you need local authorities immediately, call 911. Seriously, call 911. Think about that. A lot of stuff going on this morning as we are having this discussion. So think about it in that fashion as we are talking.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
What is dedication?
I am the father of a 9-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy, and I find fatherhood both relentlessly challenging and relentlessly rewarding. My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much. From the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night and every moment in between, it really is so special, and boy, is it exhausting. One thing that I fear about being a parent is the future for my children. I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings. But I'm also hopeful that the future holds a more inclusive and compassionate world for them.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
If you're worried your friend may be struggling, remember, you don't have to be there to be there.
You can say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You can ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You can ask on your couch while you binge watch. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants. We're still hanging and banging on the Jay Allen of the Morning Show. Also here, this hour is known as the Rated R Safety Show. Dual purpose, you know what I'm saying? So let's talk. So this song right here is called Live Free by Ghost Machines. And maybe that's the thing that we need to do is live free. We could get into all kinds of stuff if you wanted to. About my opinion about living free, that's for sure. But there you go. Maybe I'll have an opinion show one day. So let's start talking. Let's start hanging and banging and doing all the fun stuff that we get to do. Because I think it's important. Anyways, this song is readily available on Spotify and iTunes. Live Free by Ghost Machines. And there you go. 44 minutes past the top of the hour as we are hanging and banging on this lovely Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So much fun after Whip 'em Out Wednesday. You just don't know what to do anymore with yourself when it's time to move forward. So let's start talking, moving and grooving about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because I think it's going to be important for us to talk about this. That is, there is no doubt about this. Take a listen to this. Mayor Lightfoot is defending her decision to encrypt police radio transmission and block the public from listening to their real time. The mayor said that she's keeping the transmission unencrypted could give criminals access to communication and put officers in danger. I mean, I think we've known this for years, right?
About officer safety. If it's unencrypted and there's access, there's no way to control criminals who are going to also get access, listen in, and adjust their criminal behavior.
A coalition of media organizations is asking Lightfoot to reconsider the policy, which they believe compromises public safety and transparency. The city will also make police radio traffic available on a website with a 30-minute delay. What do you think? What do you think about this? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? Or do you go, well, I'm not sure what the hell's going on? Maybe that's the other option. Anyways, coming out of Los Angeles, the mother of a 15-year-old girl who overdosed on a high school campus is suing the Los Angeles Unified School District. The woman spoke at a news conference on Wednesday.
Melanie, and we want justice for her.
The girl died of suspected fentanyl overdose in the restroom at the Helen Bernstein High School in Hollywood in September. The wrongful death suit claims that school's officials knew drugs were being sold on campus and knew that 6 other students had recently overdosed but failed to take any action. Police say that the girl and classmate who survived an overdose thought that they were taking painkillers that they had bought off campus. The family of the attorney says that the LAUSD neglected to handle the school's drug problem.
We knew that Bernstein High School was a drug safe haven.
So there you go. Be some interesting times as we are getting to listen to what the hell is going on outside of there. Anyways, coming out of Chicago, Illinois, a Hammond, Indiana man. Well, I'm glad this report's coming out of Chicago, and I say a Hammond, Indiana man, is being sentenced for 2.5 years in prison for straw purchasing. The gun that was used in the deadly shooting of the Chicago police officer Ella French last year. French partners Carlos Yanes, who was critically wounded in the shooting, believes that Jamel Danzy's sentence wasn't enough.
That, the sentence was only 30 months. It should have been more than 5 years, but we were asking for the max.
Danzy pleaded guilty earlier this year on one count of conspiracy to commit federal firearm offenses. Prosecutors say that Danzy purchased the firearm at a federal firearms dealer in Hammond in March of 2021, and he ended up giving the gun to a Chicago resident he knew that legally allowed the purchase of the firearm. The gun was later recovered following the shooting of the death of French in August of 2021. So it'll be interesting to see what the hell's going on there. Anyways, it's that time of the year where the holidays are kicking in and some things start taking place that you're not expecting. But this is what happens, and we're talking about some porch buyers. Porch buyers are targeting homes the holiday season in Colorado Springs. One victim, Duncan McIver, lives on the east side of the city of Colorado Springs and says that he thought that he was safe until he had his package stolen last week.
It was another delivery. So a couple seconds in, when you figure out what's going on, it was galling. It was shocking.
A woman wearing a COVID mask was caught at the doorbell taking hundreds of dollars worth of boxes, but McClover says that he was unable to get the license plates number from the video and doesn't show a full face, so he's currently out of luck despite filling out a police report. State lawmakers say that they have tried to pass legislation preventing the efforts in the past to criminalize the porch pirates, but have failed. Republican Larry Liston, representative of the Senate District 10, sponsored a bill in 2020 looking for harsher punishment, and one that in 2020 that a tax credit to help residents pay for their anti-theft items. Neither of them actually passed. So Larry Liston, representing the Senate of the District 10, says that he wants to continue to work with others to pass the legislation to criminalize porch pirates and prevent this type of crime from happening in communities in southern Colorado.
We have to work in conjunction with the authorities, with the police. We have to work in conjunction with the delivery companies and the retailers and the consumer.
Yeah, that sounds like all some good ideas. I don't think that we're really rocking the boat there when we start talking about this. Anyways, take a listen to this. The Federal Reserve is increasing interest rates again to try to bring down inflation. Trey Thomas has more info.
Is less than the recent 3/4 point hikes, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell.
The FOMC raised our policy interest rate by a 0.5 percentage point.
Powell said he anticipates ongoing increases to get inflation back to the 2% goal. Powell also said data from October and November show a welcome reduction in the pace of price increases, but more evidence is needed. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Trey Thomas, for the information right there. Anyways, take a listen to this. A manufacturing company has begun the world's first production of a solar car. The Dutch company Lightyear is now assembling the first vehicle, Lightyear Zero, Lightyear Zero, a 4 to 5 passenger EV that will go down in history as the first electric vehicle that generates a realistic amount of charge via the sunlight. Taking advantage of such a body space as possible with the 5 curved solar arrays, the Lightyear Zero charges whether the daylight and then whether it is parked or on the move. Lightyear claims that it can travel up to 40 miles or 7 kilometers per day from the sun alone, which infinite power source. It's like the sun, like that sun on the roof. But Lightyear Zero can drive for months without charging. Non-solar charging can be done by plugging into a regular home socket, which will offer over 185 miles of overnight range. If a solar panel can become greater producers of energy, the electric cars would finally sidestep the criticism of electric cars that aren't better for the environment, since most electricity is generated through fossil fuels. The company plans to produce one vehicle per week with a starting price of, you ready for this? $255,000. I mean, I love these great ideas, but $255,000. Like, let's be realistic. So a solar vehicle, I definitely didn't hear that coming. And just 40 miles per day, that's a short circuit. I mean, let's be realistic. $255,000 for a car. Oh, I mean, great ideas, poor execution is normally the way that it kind of works out with that stuff.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, so there you go. I think it's time for us to be motivated by some other things. Let's bring some John Smalls inside of here and let him tell us about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Dana. Katharine Hepburn said, "If you obey all the rules, you miss all the fun." I think my wife would have gotten along really well with Miss Hepburn. And I love that about her, too. She's a fun person who finds a way to be a tiny bit mischievous, but in a fun way. She could say something that may be offensive coming from somebody else, but it's hilarious coming from my wife, because people know that she's saying it to make them laugh. Sometimes she says the most ridiculously ludicrous things, and people just love it. And I absolutely love that about my wife. She would never intentionally offend anyone, but she would certainly say something to make a point and to get a smile. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. One of the biggest longitudinal studies of happiness was conducted in Harvard. And unsurprisingly, one of the important ways to increase our levels of genuine happiness is quality social connection. Quality social connection falls into a number of different categories, including romantic connection, friendship, or daily superficial interaction. What is surprising is that superficial interactions are extremely important. Normally, when we hear quality social connection, most of us think about deep conversations. But it's very clear from the research that oftentimes, although of course not always, our conversations with people that we are closest to are actually trivial. In fact, it is often a sharing of the trivial day-to-day things between people that lead to feelings of connection, especially if it involves shared experience. For more information on wellness, check out AlessaMorgan.com.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
I guess entertaining can be part of the equation if you kind of want to do it in that particular format. That is for sure. So let me talk about this real quick because I want to make sure that I talk about this. So today, if you are downloading the podcast, or if you are downloading I guess taking a look at the video chat and all that kind of stuff. The To Write Love on Her Arms Find Help section, I'm going to put that inside of the show notes. That way you know exactly where to be able to discover those and go from there. So that will be readily available if you want to take a look at that. I probably should have mentioned that earlier, but I want to make sure that you know that it is there. And contemplating hardcore about putting some of that stuff on our website. It might take a hot minute to do so, but we'll get that moving and grooving more than likely onto our website as well, because it is that important to discuss. It really is. So I want you to know that that information will be there inside of the show notes today as well. So anyways, with that being said, let's continue talking about some other things, because there are all kinds of stuff going on inside of this world. No winner for Tuesday night's Mega Million drawing. Friday night's drawing will be for $429 million. Jackpot, or $233.6 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you're more than welcome on doing so. So there you go. Some stuff to talk about as we are talking. What else is going on inside of the world of the multiverse and the multiplex and all that multi stuff that we can talk? Let's talk about some things that happened back on this day. So let's take a look at 2020. Mackenzie Scott, the former Miss Jeff Bezos, announces that she has donated $4 billion to 384 nonprofit organizations across the U.S. The news comes just 11 months after she donated $1.7 billion to 116 organizations. That happened back on this date in 2020. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, Maudie Apatow turns 25, Jesse Lindard turns 30, Danielle Ezra 31, Josh Norman 35, Ronnie Racht 39, Charlie Cox 40, Michelle Dorkery turns 41, Adam Brody 43, and Don Johnson, he turned 73 today. I didn't realize he was on The Watchmen. I knew he was on Miami Vice. Did not realize he was on The Watchmen. That's how much I'm keeping up with stuff. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those for you. It's National Lemon Cupcake Day. I think I like that idea already. National Cat Hinders Day. And National Reg Fitting Day. Yeah, there's a reg fitting day, just in case you were wondering. You know, what can we do today? Let's do some reg fitting. That sounds like a good idea of some things to do. That's for sure. Let's talk about this. Because we're so close to the holidays, I'm going to talk about this real quick. The most re-gifted Christmas gifts for 2020. In a survey, 72% of people said they agreed with their favorite gifts are heartfelt and unique. But the survey also identified the worst holiday gifts out there. Avoid giving these, and hopefully you'll never have to deal with the embarrassment of having the same thing re-gifted to you next year. So 5 to 1, 1 to 5. At number 5, box of chocolates, 29% says re-gift. I honestly can't say that they are red-blooded women giving away any type of chocolate product unless they're having a crappy orange feeling in them. So there you go. At number 4, beauty gift sets. 30% say they re-gift this because it didn't work. At number 3, scented candles. At 32% said they re-gifted it because unless they're bacon scented. At number 2, gift sets of body care products. 33% said that they would re-gift it. And at the number 1 spot, picture frames. 34% said that they are likely to re-gift that item. That's another great thing about giving someone a personalized gift. They can't re-gift it, so personalize them all the way. There you go. So let's take a look real quick. If you need a random joke to today, use this one. It's probably my age that tricks people into thinking I'm an adult. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. Will you self-gift a Christmas present by giving yourself a present? In a poll, 26% of people said yes. If I see something I want, 19% said, yes, I know what I want. So there you go. You're not the only one. If you need something for the water cooler, try this. 40% of us said that they have done this at work when no one was looking. What is it? Raise or lower the thermostat. I'm glad we talked about the thermostat because I was not sure where that was going right away. So just think about that. Anyways, thank you for taking a listen to the show. We're going into hour 2. If you want to go over to radiobig.fm and come and hang out with us. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, we can't do what we do around here. If I can't leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. If you don't risk anything, you risk even more. Think about that. Anyways, I'll see you next time around. I know who you are. Duh. You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.